Good afternoon. What an honor it is to speak to you at Money 2020. And I want to start by thanking our hosts. I actually have gotten such value out of these Money 2020 conferences. It has become the place for me. So Pat Patel, Anil, Andrew Morse, all kinds of folks who put this together. They don't often get enough, they're in the backstage. So can we start by giving them a round of applause? Thank you, 2020. I've got some interesting things to talk with you about today. 3 things: digital locate receipt, a venue for trading ICOs, and a mystery announcement. Digital locate receipts. Am I excited about this? You may have heard of short selling. You probably got told it works like people borrow stock and then they sell it, but it really doesn't work quite like that. How it works is the beneficial owner, or let's say a pension fund, they have some stock, they custodian, they give it to a prime broker to keep in custody. That prime broker sees that they can loan it out to a short seller, and what they do is they don't loan the stock, they give what's called a locate. They say, Mr. Short Seller, yes, you are good. You have located stock, go ahead and short. That's how it's supposed to work. How it actually happens, though, there's all kinds of games. I'm not going to waste your time by showing you the different games, but there's various forms of what I just generally call meshigas, or mischief, in the system. So, for example, there's very little for that to keep that prime broker. Once he realizes, I can tell one short seller you've got to locate and collect $20, it's very little to keep him from saying, you know what, telling other short sellers out there, you're good with a locate too, you're good with a locate too, collecting $20 from each. Of course, the problem is at that point, the short sellers, they all think they have a locate, they all start selling the stock. More stock ends up in the market than is actually possible for it to be there. How big a problem is this? Let me remind everybody, Alan Greenspan, October 23rd, 2008, Congress asked him out of retirement, come in and explain what the heck is happening. Civilization's melting down. This has been overlooked. The left jumped on the first part of this sentence. Oh, Alan Greenspan says markets don't work. But he goes on, he says, in order to return to stability, we have to fix fraud, settlement, and securitization. Fraud was Bernie Madoff and mortgage-backed securities was securitization. Settlement, it's been forgotten from history. 2008 was a settlement crisis. The thing that actually caused the government to act was when the settlement system froze on the morning of Wednesday, September 15th. It did that because of all that mischief I just showed you. It did that because of the mischief on the securities lending desk that underlies short selling. A huge amount of unsettled stock had ended up in the system, and no one knew on the morning of September 15th, 2008, no one knew who they could trade with anymore, which is why Alan Greenspan said this. Think I'm exaggerating how big this is? I'm showing you 2 pieces of paper. It cost me $30 million to get these 2 pieces of paper. You may have heard that I was in a lawsuit, famous lawsuit a decade ago against Goldman Sachs, some others. This piece of paper cost me $30 million to get. They fought like hell. How big is securities lending? I knew it was at least 5% in Goldman, thought it might be 15%. Here's the answer. Securities is 75% of the revenue of Goldman Sachs prime brokerage comes from that desk I just showed you. It's a desk hardly anyone even knows about. 75% of the revenue. There's also, you may have heard about a pension tsunami is breaking across the United States. There's just been a massive class action suit filed against the prime brokers who control securities lending. I think it's going to be the first $1 trillion lawsuit. Well, guess what? tZERO has a solution. By the way, they've figured out that they've been looted to the tune of about 2 to 3% per year of the pension funds by that craziness in the system. tZERO has a solution. Digital locate receipts, reduce the role of the prime broker. We have a ATS, a blockchain ATS that can handle. We take the stock, we run an auction, we create a blockchain receipt. We auction it off. Let's say the short seller is going to pay $10. The $10 comes in, and 8 of it goes back to the pension. We keep a couple. We think this can actually make a dramatic effect on the pension crisis that's going to break America. What it does is effectively take a pipe that is now 75% of the revenue of Goldman Sachs and repipes it into the pension fund. We pick up a couple shekels for our effort, but it's a pretty dramatic product. Guess what? It is now live. It came live this quarter in alpha. We currently have $8 billion in inventory, and some people every day, sort of alpha, friendly customers using it. On November 1st, there'll be $120 billion of inventory, and we are integrating with a couple platforms. I can't tell you their names, but between them, 8,000 users, 8,000 active traders will be able to use this system on November 1st. We think we can disrupt that desk, which is 75% of the revenue of the American prime brokerage industry. Next thing to talk about, you may have heard on July 25th, the SEC came out with an opinion. They said virtual coins or tokens that are offered may be securities, and the Dow token was a security. They say any entity or person trading this must be on an exchange that is a national securities exchange or registered as an exception. Well, that's the problem. So we have, billions of dollars of these ICOs have been issued. If they're securities now and the new ones coming down the pike, if they're securities, they have to trade on some approved venue that mechanically can trade blockchain instruments and is compliant with the SEC. There's precisely one of those in the world right now. There's precisely one in the world that meets all those needs. It's called tZERO. We built it over the last 3 years. We're the only one in the world, and which leads me to the third announcement. The mystery announcement is tZERO is launching our own ICO. Asterisk. Term subject to change. Finalization is expected November 8th. This is neither an offer to sell or a solicitation of an offer to buy. California highway mileage will be lower. Don't run with that stick. You'll poke someone's eye out. So all the warnings. tZERO is launching an ICO. It's a SAFT token. That's, for those of you in the ICO world, you know what that is. Simple agreement for future tokens. It's being offered subject to Reg D, U.S. accredited investors only. We're offering up to 500 million tokens, and we have a novel way of how these are going to be offered that will all be described on that November 8th. The pre-sale begins November 15th, and it runs until December 31st. We think this may be the largest ICO yet that comes to market. It is a chance people can invest directly in the only company out there, tZERO, that was the first company to do a blockchain security. It was a private security, a $5 million bond we did with First New York. tZERO did the world's first blockchain private security 2 summers ago. Then 18 months ago, we got the first SEC-registered public blockchain security registered to file. Just 10 months ago, we issued the world's first public blockchain security through tZERO. tZERO has the only SEC-compliant ATS or trading venue that is blockchain technology in the world and can handle all these ICOs. And now now we have a product that actually is disruptive to the core desk of the prime brokerage industry. Goldman, JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Citibank. 75% of Goldman revenue comes from it. Our system is better. It's more honest. It's blockchain impermeable, solves all the problems for the regulators. And while in alpha now on November 1st, it'll be live with $100 billion of inventory to lend out and 8,000 users capable of borrowing their stocks through it. They're pre-borrows for their short sales. And all we're missing now is a little bit of capital. Overstock, incidentally, Overstock has had Overstock owns 82% of this. So anyone who wants to invest can just wake up tomorrow morning and buy OSTK. But if you want to invest in this specifically, We need a little bit of capital to build out this ecosystem, and we're launching this ICO, which early indications from some very large, like financial players, as well as the public, makes us think this may be the largest in history. Thank you very much.
Didn't get to sleep that night.